everybody. Welcome to the September 10th Talk About It Tuesday. Today we have RapidSOS with us. Leah is going to provide a video. Before she does that, we're going to mix things up a little bit. Laura is going to join us and talk about her training in the ABC app. Here's our team.
Sorry.
Morning, Laura. Yeah. Here's our team here at the board, and the ways you can get in touch with us. If you need anything from any of us, give us a call, send us an email. Laura, you want to go ahead?
Absolutely. Okay. So if you are in leadership in an ECD or in a PSAP and you have not joined our ABC app, our Alabama 911 Board Central app, you need to do so. There is a deadline where we are stopping using the previous processes, which is those DocuWare forms that you had to submit for everything. And that is September 17th. So 1 week from today. And we have 44 PSAPs left that have not had someone in leadership join. Now, I do have a list. So if you are on this and you are completely unsure, or maybe you sent a request and have not heard back and gotten your account approved, please email Daniel or myself at education@al911board.com. I'm going to put that in the chat. So this is just the ABC app. We've discussed that. We had a Talk About It Tuesday on August 13th. You can go back and watch that video where it goes over all of the functions that you have access to and all of the things that you will use this new app for. But primarily, we will be adding new and removing PSTs when they depart from the agency, adding certifications, CEUs, registering for training, viewing your compliance rate, and all of those things. So you can look at each of your employees and see where they stand on the compliance scale, whether they're certified, just don't have reciprocity, or whether they're waiting to be certified, and all those things. So a lot of things we can do, and I'm not going to go into that because I'm not going to take too much time, but we do have 44 PSAPs left that have to join. So if you are one of those, you'll need to go to, and I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's app.al911board.com/sign up. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. Ready for the next one, Michelle? So tagging on to that, where I said you can look at your PST's status. I know that we have recently posted some maps and shared with people the compliance rate that your agency is falling under. And currently there are 170 PSTs that only need reciprocity to become compliant. And in the past, we've had some confusion on the difference in certified and compliant. And this just means they've completed their course or their competency exam, but they have not answered those 4 questions that just say, hey, I understand I've done this and I have to have CEUs. It's not a test. It's through Virtual Academy. We are currently working. I have been in contact with Virtual Academy yesterday and this morning, and we are currently working to reset, a mass reset of all 170 PSTs on this list, their Virtual Academy reciprocity. You will not receive an email because it's only sent out upon original the date of being assigned, but they can check Virtual Academy under active courses and then search PST, and the reciprocity should show up. If you are unsure, I also have a list that I can go through and I can let you know who in your agency need that, and that will just bump your numbers right up. And it's just very, very quick and simple, and it's the very last step to becoming compliant. I'm ready. And I know we also often discuss training from Education Outreach, obviously, but this class is next week. And this is Kristen Scroggin from Gen Y Communications. And if you were not at our user conference, you missed her opening keynote session, and she was phenomenal. It is, she went over so many different things. And honestly, you go in there and you're like, oh, she's going to be down on my generation or whatever, but everyone left. We had such great feedback. Everyone just learned so much. What she teaches and talks about is so invaluable to every industry, and to working with other generations and being able to do that well, not, kind of poo-poo off the other because you're like, oh, that's not how we do it, or, you're too new, you don't know, all those things. So this is a phenomenal class. We have opened it up to public safety personnel and first responders, government employees, along with public safety telecommunicators in the state. Up to 100 people can be in this class, and lunch is provided by digital. Next Monday, it will be in Montgomery, and next Tuesday, it will be in September. Next Tuesday, it will be in Tuscaloosa. So if you have not registered, please do so. Share this with anybody in your agency or in public safety on social media, and let's pack the house because it's just incredible.
For Laura mentioned, I won't take an opportunity. Laura mentioned that she was the keynote at our user conference, and I've been very fortunate in my role here to attend a number of conferences and see a number of keynotes. And by far, she was the most impressive keynote I've ever seen. And I think a lot of people echoed that sentiment that had the opportunity to listen to her. I, for one, am registered for the Montgomery class, and I'm excited to attend it. Those that, like, say, to me, this is an opportunity to hear someone who speaks exceptionally knowledgeable on the subject, but also does it in an engaging and entertaining way. So while some people might look and say, oh, I don't want to attend an 8-hour class, I think it would fly by and you would get a lot of really powerful information out of it. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Anderson. And it's true. So when we had her, I think it was a 90-minute session. And at the very end of our conference, we asked for feedback, and that was done verbally in a room with a lot of people. And I would say 95% said that was one of the most favorite things that they attended, and that they wish it could be longer and wanted more of that. And so that's what we've done, is we brought her back for 2 8-hour days in 2 separate areas to try and reach the people who wanted more, and anybody else who could use it. So attend and register, and I'm putting in the chat right now the things we've gone over. I'm ready, Michelle. And lastly, we are going to have an Alabama 911 board resource room at the Gulf Coast Conference. It will be immediately following the closing session on Wednesday. We will be in the Sandcastle 2 room. And this is really just an opportunity for anyone to come and have a one-on-one conversation with us about something you need, suggestions you have, or let us assist you in using the ABC app. We will be releasing that to the public safety telecommunicators at this conference. And, you know, Daniel and I have been filtering, and I'll say Daniel has done the majority of the filtering of the emails when people are asking, hey, can you do this? Or how do I do this? And he's done a phenomenal job of staying on top of that. And I hope that anyone who's been on it so far has seen that. And we appreciate all your suggestions, because this is what it is. It's a beta number 2, trying to get all those pain points worked out before releasing it to the 1,624 PSTs. But this resource room will be for all 911 board resources. Anything that you could need from us that we can help you with, or if you just want to stop by and have a conversation with us about anything, we would love to connect with you during this time. So it will be from 10 to 4. And I believe we're going to kind of, rather than having an appointment style sign up, we're going to have kind of a, 10 a.m. maybe GIS focused, and 10 a.m. maybe finance focused, and 11 maybe ABC app or education training, something like that. And we'll put that schedule out there a little closer, but just so you guys all know, we will be there, easily accessible to all of you to help you with whatever you may need. And I think that is all that I have. And I've put everything in the chat as far as creating your account for PSAP leadership and ECD leadership, training registration for this class and any other class that we are providing. And in addition, I put education at al911board.com for questions about any of those things, any education outreach questions. And I did put a little note, if you sign up, if you maybe share the flyer or the registration link for the class with someone who is not employed in a primary PSAP, whether it's a secondary or it's a police officer or it's someone in your office, that they just need to select no when it asks, and then they'll just fill out their name and their email address manually. If they are employed and we have record of them in our app, then they'll just be able to search for their name and drop down, and that's all they have to do to select to register. So if you have any questions about any of that, please email us or reach out by phone. And thank you so much, Leah, all yours.
One note about the resource room, Laura touched on it. There will be GIS available, help available. The entire board staff will be in the room, including myself and Nita, and also a technical representative from Datamark. So please come by and see us for any GIS.
Sorry about dropping that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, Leah, now we're ready for you. If you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Alrighty. Thank you guys again for having us. Leslie and I today have recorded some sessions that we're gonna talk about some of the new functionality inside RapidSOS. That includes agency share and chat, multi-agency routing, and interoperability with our train safety. So Michael, a little bit over today, just so everybody knows, I will be pausing throughout to answer questions about each section. So if you have a piece of paper, go ahead and write it down, and I'll do kind of like a live Q&A afterwards, so that we make sure that the feedback is timely. But I'm gonna share my screen, and then we'll get into talk about it Tuesday.
We are so excited to spend Tuesday with you. RapidSOS has been asked to share some updates with you about where we are going as a public safety solution. And Leah from the State 911 Board has also asked us to highlight a few of the specific features that are available to you in your ECC. So that is what we are going to spend the next hour or so talking about. So let's get started. So first, let's give you a little insight as to what you can expect in this session. We're going to be talking about 4 different features inside RapidSOS. So the first one is estimated floor level. We'll get into that in greater detail. Next, we're going to talk about agency share and chat and how that can help your agency and interoperability across the state. We'll talk about multi-agency routing and what that means for you as well as neighboring agencies. And then we'll finish up our discussion with information about Norfolk Southern and all of the train lines that are running through your state, and how with RapidSOS being a part of your daily operations, it can improve and enhance your public safety. Also, before we go too deep into some of the topics we're going to be discussing today, I wanted to throw out that our training team, and you're going to meet both of us, myself, Leslie, and Leah, can always be reached at training@rapidsos.com. So if you have any questions about what we are talking about today, if you want to know what our favorite color is, if you have a completely unrelated question that has nothing to do with the 4 topics that we're talking about today, but you've got some other questions or concerns, please reach out to us, because we are eager, happy, we want to be here for you for the duration. So without too much ado, let us introduce ourselves so you know who you're talking to. So my name is Leslie Whittam. I've been with RapidSOS now for about 3 years. I come here from 31 years in an ECC in Southern California. I have been in Alabama a couple times teaching for Nina, so that is also part of my history. I am passionate about training. I think that training is something that every person, every professional person, let me say, has to have in order to be kept up to date on what only is happening in our space, but also what's happening outside the world, because we all know that we are driven by public expectation and what's happening in society. And so it's important to make sure that training opportunities like this one are always available to you, because technology is moving at such a rate that it is not going to be slowing down. And so I love the fact that the state is encouraging you to participate in these Talk About It Tuesdays on a regular basis, so you can be kept up to date with what's going on in your profession. And now I will throw it over to Leah so she can introduce herself as well.
Hi there, heroes. Leah Harms here. I come to you guys bearing 8 years of ECC experience with a metro agency outside of Denver. I, like Leslie, have a very rich history and a rich passion and love for training and development. My mom was a teacher, and ever since, you know, her red scribbles were across all of my papers, I just have always really enjoyed that process of learning and giving that feedback back, and returning that with a rich discussion. So I'm so happy to be part of this team. The moment that I used RapidSOS for the first time in my ECC years ago has always stuck with me. Locating a drunk caller one evening on swing shift, where she was triangulating between 3 different jurisdictions. We weren't sure where she was. She wasn't really in the mood to tell us or able to tell us. And ever since I used RapidSOS that day, I just have always coveted being a part of this team and being a part of making sure that everybody knows about how to use these tools and enhance their learning. So happy to be here, really excited to dive in with Alabama and see how these features can really change the way that you guys interact with data and hear some of the success stories. So thanks for having me, and we're excited to get started.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into Z-axis, an estimated floor level. So that is the first of the 15-minute sessions we are going to be talking about today. So Z-axis, or estimated floor level location information. So you may have heard that topic or that concept of Z-axis. And the challenge with Z-axis is normally it is altitude for the caller location that is specific to where they are in the up and down space. So we're all very familiar with latitude and longitude on a horizontal surface where we know where somebody is based on a map point. Well, what Z-axis is changing that horizontal access point to something that is now vertical. The challenge, though, becomes currently Z-axis is presented in such a way that it's not actionable. So it is either through orthometric coordinates, or it is based on a height above elevation or height above ellipsoid. The challenge with that becomes, depending on where you are in your state, if you're at sea level, then that height above ellipsoid or height above elevation is going to be different than maybe if you're further north in your state, and now you've got some topography that is changing what that measurement is. So terrain and floor levels obviously have a challenge with just using Z-axis. So what we are working with Geocom, who is an industry leader when it comes to estimating vertical location, Z-axis, estimated floor level, is we're taking that number, that coordinate that is very difficult for you to calculate. And I always joke about, I became a dispatcher because I was told there would be no math. So I can't on the fly, in the middle of everything that's happening, look at a coordinate and go, oh, well, let me just whip out what that means as far as where that caller is in a multi-story building and know what that location is. So Geocom and RapidSOS are working together to provide that information to you in a manner that makes sense to you, so you can make decisions based on it and you can take action on it. So we all know, and especially you in Alabama, being the first 911 call in the United States, we recognize that the 911 system is built on voice, meaning that we are very familiar with the call rings, we pick it up, we ask questions, the caller provides us with information through their voice, then we put in a call for service, we send it over to our radio dispatcher, they read the narrative of our call, and now they have to convey all of that information through voice back out to the responders in the field. The challenge becomes our society is now being driven by data. And think about all the data that you carry around in your purse, in your back pocket, in your backpack. That cellular device, that wireless device that we all carry, has access to so much data, but it doesn't do anybody any good if it's not being shared with 911 centers across the country. So here's a sobering statistic, or if you're like me, it's kind of exciting to realize that by 2027, the Internet of Things, IoT-initiated 911 calls will surpass human-initiated calls. So let me say that again, by 2027, so 3 short years from now, IoT-initiated 911 calls will surpass human-initiated calls. And the challenge then becomes for all of you who are sitting at the workstations, sitting at the hot seat, recognizing that you are now kind of caught in the middle of this shift from voice now to data. And so what RapidSOS does and how we can help is giving you a platform, a single pane of glass that we talk about, where all of that information can be filtered to you in one screen so that you can now monitor, manage, evaluate, make decisions based on information that is being provided to you through RapidSOS. We're going to talk a lot about those options going through today's session, but some of the pathways and some of the data that you can see through RapidSOS, and maybe think about in your own experience at home and at work, how connected you are with some of this data. But we're going to be talking about call data and text data, video data. We're going to talk about sensor data and how that plays a role in creating all of this information that now you have at your fingertips. We're going to talk about mapping data, tools and administration that helps your administrators configure your RapidSOS account to where it makes sense for your ECC. And then finally, we partner with over 100 public safety partners in the 911 space, in the public safety space, in the field responder space, that now, instead of having you or forcing you to log into 100 different platforms to get the information, RapidSOS is just going to give it to you in one screen. So today, when we're talking about Z-Access, we're really talking about call data, which is the map where you can view all of the incoming information, that estimated floor level that we're going to be talking about, and the fact that through RapidSOS, even when your 911 system may be compromised, maybe there's been a system outage due to weather, or maybe someone has cut a line someplace and that legacy network of cell towers is not working, RapidSOS is still going to work even when there's a system outage. So it's important to have that redundant system moving forward. So a little bit more about estimated floor level. What is it? So it is a feature inside RapidSOS Unite designed to provide you as first responders and field responders a more precise location information, especially when we're talking about maybe a multi-story building where you've got people who are in an apartment or a college dorm or something like that, where you need to get information not only about where the incident is happening, the front door of that location, but we also need to know where they are on that multi-story building experience. So how does it work? It uses technology, again, powered through Geocom, that uses additionally barometric pressure, Wi-Fi signals, GPS data, all of this information that we carry in our phones. It's very similar to, and if you've had this experience, if you've ever ordered anything through Target, Drive Up, or Walmart, or any of those places where you have ordered something, you're driving into the parking lot, and as soon as you get into the parking lot, you get that message on your phone that says, oh, welcome to Target. Let us know what space you're going to be in, and we'll bring your things out to you. That's based on Wi-Fi signals and beacons inside the parking lot. Very much all of that device-based hybrid location is how RapidSOS and Geocom work together to provide you with that estimated floor level. So we'll also talk a little bit about how to use estimated floor level in your ECC, because clearly some of us, like where I live now, I live in Florida. I learned recently it is the flattest state in the entire union, but we also have multi-story buildings. So using estimated floor level in your ECC will help you guide your responders to the place where help is actually needed. And that is the number one question we ask when we answer that 911 call. What's the address of your emergency? And when we're talking about multi-story buildings, that address is also going to include maybe that apartment number or that dorm number, or at least that floor level. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And before I get into all of this specifically, I also want to let you know that Leah and I work very, very hard to make sure that our training center is kept up to date. So if you're thinking, Leslie, what training center? You can log into the training center directly from inside RapidSOS. So the next time you log into RapidSOS, navigate from that little 3-line hamburger icon in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll be presented with some options. One of those is training. Click on that, and you will be taken directly into our training center. That's where you can find not only this course that we're talking about, Z-Access, but you can find a number of different courses that outline all of the exciting things that RapidSOS is doing, all of the exciting features that we have available now and what's coming, as well as training on some of our partner agreements. So what we're going to be talking about here today is how to access the Z-Access, which is very difficult to say if you try to say it fast. understanding the Z-Access data, how Z-Access works, and using Z-Access location information in your center. So let's go ahead and get started. Awesome. So let's get into this in a little more detail. So right now, before you can query for Z-Access information, your agency's admin, that person who is responsible for setting up your accounts and your configurations and setting permissions by roles, has to enable your access for this particular data source. So for those of you who may be administrators and this is new information to you, or you're like, you know, I think I read that someplace, but I'm not exactly sure where I can do that. You can go into an admin course inside the training center where the process for enabling this data source is outlined for you. But once that's been completed, having access to Z-Access is super simple. The option to query for Z-Access resides on that event pane that you are engaged with on a daily basis anyway. By clicking on that estimated floor level option, what it's going to do is open up a new tab that will display Geocom's vertical location service data. So when you get in that 911 call comes in, you click on it, it expands that event pane. You click on the option for Z-Access, the estimated floor level option, and then a new tab will appear. So that Z-Access feature is currently supported for Google calls right now. So that's important to note. So if you've got somebody, and remember at the top of your event pane, it will show you the source of where that information is coming from. So in this example, it's coming from Google. It's right now only going to be working for Google phones. There is a roadmap to include other cell phone services such as Apple, but right now it is only available for Google. Before clicking on the estimated floor level option, make sure that you're checking that event pane source to ensure that the incoming call is coming from a Google device. Geocom's vertical location service translate that caller's location information to more actionable data, including that estimated floor level and that estimated floor range, as well as building information if available. So what does that mean? Well, it comes from an open source network. So if I'm maybe visiting your area and there's a multi-story Hilton hotel, and I am now calling from my room on the 5th floor, you will get information about not only my estimated floor level, that floor range, but because Google is part of an open source network, you'll get information and it will tell you that I'm actually calling from a Hilton hotel. That access information performs this conversion based on global sets of open source building information. If you are interested in making sure that all of your buildings in your jurisdiction are part of that additional building information, please reach out to us. We'll put you in contact with the EEM responsible for your area, and they can talk to you about some of the paid options working with Geocom that will get you more specific jurisdictional information based on what your ECC needs. It's also important to note that the Z-Access location information is an accuracy estimate, and is most likely going to be a range of floors. So please always follow your agency's address verification policy when using that Z-Access information, very similar to what you're used to using the latitude, longitude, and that uncertainty value and that radius. Often with RapidSOS, that information is much more accurate than if you were simply relying upon Annie Alley information, but it is still an estimate. So we want to make sure that your agency's policy gives you some parameters under which you can provide that information in your call for service, as well as to the field responders, so it makes sense to them as they are responding to these calls. So now you know a little bit more about Z-Access. Let's answer a few questions that you may have just in our short conversation today. Does this cost anything? It does not. This is an early adopter program, and it's free to ECCs who are using RapidSOS Unite. So super exciting. It is also, because the state of Alabama is a premium customer, it is also available for premium agencies as well if you've already been enabled with that service. Another question, will the GeoComm conversion data always have every field populated? Remember that the estimated floor level conversion relies on underlying global data sets from open source buildings when performing a conversion. So if no building information is detected for a certain location, or that location only has a subset of location information available, some of those fields aren't going to show. And again, if you're interested in making sure that your local jurisdiction is accurately reflected inside RapidSOS, you can reach out to training@rapidsos.com. We can put you in contact with your EEM, or if you already know your EEM, you can contact them directly. So consider some of the multi-story buildings in your jurisdiction. How is that Z-Access, that estimated floor level, going to enhance emergency response? Most of our agencies, most of our jurisdictions have a hotel, a dormitory, or an office building that are multi-story. Think about those fires in those larger areas where you've got maybe multiple calls coming in, and you need to determine where these people are calling from. Maybe you have a medical situation that is happening, and you need to make sure that your field responders are going directly to where that caller is located so they can provide that hand-on emergency response. Consider, unfortunately, this has now become a common event in many of our jurisdictions, an active assailant on a college campus. Again, being able to identify where these callers are and how you can get help to them quickly. And finally, natural disasters that are happening in a high-rise building. I know that on the coast, you have been impacted by hurricanes and things of that nature. And then maybe further inland, you've also been forced with facing tornadoes and other weather events. So having that estimated floor level is going to provide you that information that now you can provide to your field responders and send that emergency help when and where it is needed. So thank you very much for spending some time with me talking about estimated floor level. I'm going to kick it over to Leah, who's going to tell you a little bit about agency share and chat and how that can enhance the service that you are providing to not only your citizens, but your field responders and your neighbor agencies as well. So thanks very much, and I will see you on the train a little bit later.
Alrighty, anybody have any questions before we move on to agency share
Mama,
chat?
we are so excited.
Let me know, come off mute if anybody's got any particular questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you have a question for Leah on what was just covered by Leslie. Leah, we find oftentimes our audience is quite quiet.
That's okay. Something else too that is coming out, actually might be even live in your sandboxes now, is Eagle View as well. So be on the lookout. I'm going to be sending out some information about this later this week. But Eagle View in combination with estimated floor level really gives you guys a good visual of what's happening. Eagle View is like pictometry or oblique imagery viewing of a certain scenario, so you can really see different gradients of levels. So and that is available to you guys all as Alabama premium customers. So very good. Let's move right along into agency share and chat. Don't mind me just muting my camera so that I reserve bandwidth for the presentation. But here we go. Agency share and chat, interoperability in 3 clicks. Let's do it.
So much, Leslie, for the deep dive into estimated floor level. Next up, we're going to take a look at agency share and chat. As evil in our community evolves, we also need to evolve. This is part of our superhero powers and our superhero charge. And really what I'm giving you guys today is the gift of another tool on your tool belt. Now, let's kind of talk about some daily requests that we make. Perhaps I don't have a Bearcat to protect my SWAT team that's making entry onto a bad mamma jamma's house, but my neighbor does. I'm going to ask them, what about a cover car for a call? I don't have anybody, but maybe county does, right? These requests that we make daily, hourly, highlight the power that we have as a united force for our communities. Summed up in one single word, that's interoperability. And agency share and chat is the it feature designed to make these daily requests seamless. So today we're going to talk about it, how we use it, when it's applicable, and really give you guys, again, that additional tool on your tool belt. Annually, 240 million emergency calls are made from wireless devices in the United States, according to some NINA call statistics, with over 100,000 of them mistakenly transferred to the wrong jurisdiction. This highlights an urgent need for efficient interagency collaboration and data sharing. So Leslie emphasized a little bit earlier that data is the new king. Each call into the center via RapidSOS has critical data attached that helps you coordinate responses, exact locations, estimated floor levels, emergency health profile data, additional contact information. All of that is living in the event pane. Now imagine if that call data was shared seamlessly with each transfer, or shared seamlessly on events when we need we need to have other agencies involved. Now this is possible with agency share and chat. This feature allows agencies to transfer incidents simultaneously without any transcription errors. So ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about just addressing misrouted calls. It revolutionizes the way that emergency response is managed and how we get this data to other agencies so that we can work together. I know that Mr. Rogers with his red sweater and his tying of shoelaces would be real proud of us sharing correct data with our neighbors to better enhance response times and outcomes in our community. First starts with our admins. So setting up agency share and chat is really easy. Put your party planning hat on, and we're going to start pairing with agencies in the admin menu. You can pair with agencies up to 100 miles beyond your jurisdiction of boundary. So this isn't where you are sitting right now in your center. This is county line, your jurisdictional boundary, 100 miles beyond that. We can go across state lines as well. The one thing we can't do is across countries, but that's not so much the forefront for Alabama. But after pairing, you have to make sure that your agency is visible online. You can appear offline if you're having a bad storm and you don't want this capability in your center, or maybe you guys are going through a remodel and you're 3 people down and you don't want the agency share and chat. Situation dependent, you can put yourself in an offline mode, but you do have to be online in order for your agency to show up to be shared with. Lastly, you'll want to configure the roles in your center. So do you want leads to have this, admins, agents, everybody? You can configure the data source according to who and what makes sense. And obviously citing your policy and procedure as a great guiding light for these configurations. Now, after this, interoperability happens in 1, 2, 3 clicks. So first, you're going to click the share arrow in the very top of your event pane. You're going to be met with a drop down of all your paired agencies. You can go down and share them all. You can share with relevant Depending on your policy and procedure, you have the ability to select multi-agencies and then share the incident with them. You also have the optional to put in any chat details. So 100 miles an hour, domestic violence, rolling domestic violence, whatever you want to put in there to color the situation that's going to your sister agency, you can do that. However, it's really important that this is optional. If you are just in a bind and you want to hit the share arrow, pick your agency and hit share, it's off to the races. This is an optional field, which is very nice. Now, it's important to be aware of a few parameters. For example, if an agency is in a offline status, they won't be able to be shared with. So if you go to try and select them, they don't have a green bubble right here, and your RapidSOS will tell you you're not allowed to select that agency. Again, they're in an offline status and they're not able to be shared right now. Additionally, if the incident involves a non-shareable device, so sharing won't be possible. This arrow will be grayed out. Sharing devices, non-shareable devices, or anything that's not Apple, not Google, a landline, those types of things are non-shareable devices. But RapidSOS will remind you that, hey, either they're in an offline status or this incident is not shareable. Now, for parent agency, the process is really straightforward. A purple banner and a matching purple 911 queue number indicates that a shared event has come in. As you click on these details and open the RapidSOS event pane, you will have all that rich data as like a carbon copy of that incident. So you're going to have the location, estimated floor level, lat long. You're going to have all of that. Any relevant user data like health profiles, anything that populates in that event pane will be shared. Additionally, you have the option to chat back and forth with the agent and get more information if you need it. You know, hey, what color was the car for the rolling domestic? You can go back and forth and share that information. So let's put it all together and show you what it looks like from start to finish. Let's talk about some powerful use cases. For instance, an MVA, a huge motor vehicle accident where one party had really critical health data available that was transmitted to the first ECC that took the 911 call. You know, through agency share and chat, they were able to share that user information, really powerful stuff, to secondary agencies for response, fire, medical, etc. So they all had that information without having to pick up a phone or transcribe it via radio and potentially miss details. Everything was there and able to be actionable, which is great. Additionally, similarly, on an open line 911 call with the caller moving towards a jurisdictional border, agency share and chat allowed for that data to be shared and responses to be coordinated very quickly without the phone or the radio again. So agency share and chat definitely proving capabilities beyond just our basic use. All right, I'd like to address some common questions. Now, does my agency still need to reach out to other agencies beyond agency share and chat share? Now, this is going to vary depending on your policy and procedure and the policy and procedures of others, okay? Maybe your agency still requires a phone call. This is all going to be up to your admins if agency share and chat will suffice as a notification. I know we love redundancy here in 911. So again, come back to your administrators, come back to your policy and procedure and continue to follow that as a guide. Many admins will ask, can I disable the chat feature? No, it is a bundled, it is a bundle and save type deal. So that share capability does come with the chat. Can chat data be recovered for compliance or legal purposes? Absolutely. We store all of this data for 7 years. So reach out to support if you need to recover any sort of chat details. I know support will definitely appreciate the incident date and incident time and perhaps the phone number that, that this happened on so they can retrieve it. Now, what if the incident has been shared with multiple ECCs? Great. It's going to be like a big old happy family inside of a group chat. All of those 10 agencies or whoever got that share request will be in a chat and able to go back and forth. Now, what I do like about that is the top of every chat will start with Hernando County, Summit County, Washington County, so that you can identify who's speaking and who's asking for which clarification. Now, can my agency reshare an incident to another agency? And this really highlights our commitment to our users' safety and data. So user data, as we know through this, gets shared. And if every single agency had the ability to share, that user data could be in Maine when the incident was in Texas before we knew it. So because of that, agency A, who receives the call, can share an event with agency B, all right, agency Bs, if they have multiple paired agencies that they can share it with, but those agency B cannot share again with agency C. So I hope that makes sense with the ripple effect of protecting that user data and only allowing it to be shared once with surrounding agencies. Now, how can we learn more? Inside the training center, I do have a pretty robust course on agency share and chat. So please do check that out if you want to deeper dive. Other than that, you are more than welcome to always contact Leslie and myself at our training email, training@rapidsos.com. And I'll see you next for multi-agency routing.
Okay, very good, everybody. Anybody have any questions about agency share?
Alrighty, we're gonna.
I know we talked a little bit about that policy procedure. Inside all of the courses that are in the training center, estimated floor level, agency share and chat, multi-agency routing, there are sample SOPs in there to take a look at for admins. So Leslie, being very brainful, really thought about that. How do we help admins get up to speed quickly? So she does have samples in there with definitions and different ways that you guys can integrate that smoothly into what could be current call taking procedures. So any questions about agency share and chat? All right, very good. Let's move on to multi-agency routing, another interoperability tool that utilizes digital alerts. Let's check it out.
Continue the interoperability theme and talk about another powerhouse feature inside RapidSOS. Multi-agency routing. Now, what is this, you might be asking? This is the ability for agencies receiving digital alerts to send read receipts or carbon copies of those alerts to our neighbors. So you, as the primary ECC or the primary agency, gets the digital alert. You can act on that. You can accept it. You can chat with the monitoring agency, all of the things that we've come to expect and love about our digital alerts. Equally, with multi-agency routing, at the same time, your neighbor gets that carbon copy and their alert is read only. And it's just a little gift that we've given them of interagency operability. And this becomes an automatic thing that can really assist our agencies in world domination. Why is this important? As Leslie mentioned before, we're in a fundamental shift to an information-driven economy, which requires our public safety systems to evolve from an analog to a digital universe with data. With that shift comes a very beautiful opportunity to distribute that data to our neighbors and surrounding agencies with the purpose of quick, secure communication, leading to more coordinated responses. So let's dive in to discuss how this data distribution is possible. Now, previously, our tools were limited to direct calls. Information came in on a landline and then cell phones. Now we use telematics, weapons detection, and more sophisticated technologies to get emergency data from. Just the other day, I was actually talking to my 7-year-old and my 5-year-old about what they would do if mommy fell and they needed to get help and daddy wasn't here. And their responses were very interesting. My 7-year-old said, I'd find mommy's phone and I'd call 911. My 5-year-old kind of looked at me and tugged on me and said, Mommy, look, come here, come here. And I was like, okay, we're going on a house field trip. This will be fun. We came into our mud room, and on the wall is a panel, like a Brink security panel. And we've never talked about this panel. It doesn't function at our house. Okay. The previous owner had it, but she's seen that, and she sees the police, the fire, and the medical buttons on there. And she thought, I would come in here and push one of those buttons. My 5-year-old, who has never, ever, ever, ever had any experience to this panel or what it does, we've never talked about it, knew I would go in there and I'd get some help from mommy. So this is our new reality. And our toolkit has expanded tenfold. And with that expansion, it's brought some heartburn, but also precise and timely interventions with rich user data. So in this shift, the digital alert was born. So digital alerts is how RapidSOS delivers alarm data to your center. For example, a Honeywell fire alarm happens in your jurisdiction. You guys are super smart and have signed up for digital alerts. And because you signed up and Honeywell Fire is one of our partners, you get that alarm data delivered directly to RapidSOS. When you hear it and accept it, the alarm company doesn't call you to notify your center. Awesome. We don't have to hear that phone ring. We've got this rich data in our platform, and there is lots of things to be happy about. Now, when you get that alert data with that rich information, location, alarm type, subscriber information, you can even chat back and forth with the monitoring agents if more information is needed. That data we know is credible. It's direct from the alarm company and the subscriber. It's vetted. It's not transcribed over a telephone, and we could mess it up because we're all humans and we might, have a bad hearing day that day and hear the wrong thing. Okay, so that information is credible and not diluted, and there's truth there. So that's the power of the digital alert. But what's nice about this too is our network is growing. We're bringing on more alarm partners to help capture all of this data and put it into RapidSOS for you. I think right now the latest count is RapidSOS connects over 540 million devices. I'll say that again, 540 million devices, from wearables, watches, vehicles, all sorts of things that now talk and can dump that data. And that's some powerful sources of truth coming into your center. But what did our moms teach us about sharing? Sharing is caring. Okay, we don't want to keep all that data to ourselves. So what do? Let's consider our neighbors. And this is where the power of interoperability comes in, and that's multi-agency routing. Admins can configure the ability to automatically route read receipts of your agency alerts, whether that's active assailant, police, fire, medical, to paired agencies within 30 miles of your center. And this provides situational awareness automatically. It also improves the manual notification process that's currently in place. While we might be picking up a phone, calling on a ring down, or on a mutual aid channel, it eliminates the need for that with the press of a button. So what I love about multi-agency routing too is it can be used across multiple United accounts. So no matter what your neighbor has, it's easy in Alabama because you guys all are on a state deal, but for some other agencies out there whose neighbors might have more bells and whistles of RapidSOS, multi-agency routing is configured for all iterations of the platform, which is great. So let's take a look at what this looks like end to end, and then we'll dive in. So step one, configure the paired agency in the admin menu. So basically get that party planning hat back on, and admins can invite other agencies within a 30-mile radius to get those information only receipts. And admins can configure those pairs to be emergency specific type. So my EMS friends get all my medical alerts, my police friends get my burglary and my active assailant alerts, etc. It's really easy to invite and then manage the pairs, so delete them or modify them in the admin menu. And what does this look like for our line level and our agencies? Let's start with the responsible ECC. If you're the responsible agency and that police alert is in your jurisdiction, you're the star of the show. You're going to receive the actionable alert that allows you to accept it, allows you to chat back and forth with the monitoring agent, gives you all of that wonderful data that you've come to know and love. So you can tell that you have an actionable alert by some of the different notifications in RapidSOS. So for example, your banners are going to light up different colors. I believe active assailant is red, train notifications are in the yellow, and all other alerts will be the standard blue. Additionally, your alert tab will light up. So that's another visual clue to let you know that you're the star of the show. This is your actionable alert. Also, you have a share status up here that'll say, hey, just so you know, this alert was shared with your pairs. Again, another visual clue that this is your alert, you're able to accept it, and your pairs have received this as well. Now, for our supporting actors and actresses, if you're paired with a neighboring police agency, EMS agency, etc., they're going to get notifications on their portal that are info only. Okay, some of these info only alerts look like a gray banner, information only. That's on all the banner notifications to really help you understand that this is a paired relationship that you're getting basically a carbon copy from. So your alert banner doesn't light up. Okay, your banner states that it's information only, and you have an information only banner across the top of the alert as well. Now, let's talk about a powerful use case. Last week, when I was putting this together, I did not know about the heinous actions that would happen in Georgia. So I hope and pray every day that this never happens again, because I myself have lived through and dispatched my way through a school shooting in 2013. However, we know in public safety, this evil doesn't end, and we must adapt and learn to overcome it with our actions. So I present to you guys a very powerful use case of how multi-agency routing can help in the direst of needs for agencies. As an emergency is initiated at a school, panic button presses, so many partners are coming in and now saying this capability is possible to alert an agency to an active assailant at the school. That alert can come in digitally to your agency as RapidSOS. But then also nearby agencies can then also see that information only receipt and provide mutual aid. I remember that day in December, I remember hearing my supervisor request mutual aid on the Denver area radio channel. That was 30 agencies that she requested help from. And it came in droves, and we needed it, but it clogged up roads. It caused chaos for secondary responders who couldn't get important equipment in where they were needed. And it was really hard for our on-scene commanders to manage. So what if there was a different way? What if there was a way that we could control some of that? Multi-agency routing is that, okay? It's that different way that allows interoperability for those massive big scale incidents to be controlled in an effective manner. And that really starts with how we effectively use RapidSOS. So where can you learn more? Of course, inside our training center, we've got lots of deep dives into these courses, specifically for multi-agency routing that's nested inside of alerts. So I definitely recommend that you check that out. And as always, please let Leslie and I know if you have any questions. You can reach out to us at training@rapidsos.com.
All right, next up is train safety. So we're going to dive into that.
Thanks, Leah, for giving us all
it'll all be about Norfolk Southern. So I know that Norfolk Southern does run through Alabama. I believe this section is about 15 minutes, so we are going to go a little bit over. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And Scott, just so you know, if you have to drop, I will circle back with you on the Eagle View pictometry as well. So, and then please share what we find today with some of your other cohorts. But please put questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them there. And let's talk about train safety and how we put it all together.
All that great information about multi-agency routing. I know we've thrown a lot at you today, and we're going to try to bring it all together because this last topic that we're going to talk about, Norfolk Southern and RapidSOS, kind of puts all of the things that we've talked about, location information and how important that is, plus agency share and chat, and making sure surrounding agencies are aware of what's going on, plus multi-agency routing. It's all going to come together when we're talking about Norfolk Southern and how our partnership with Norfolk Southern through RapidSOS has a huge impact on what it is that you do at your ACC, sometimes in a situation that you probably haven't thought about before. So let's jump into a little bit of railroad safety information. So railroad emergencies in and of themselves can be as simple as something that is blocking the tracks to something as large scale as a train derailment. And obviously each one of those situations is going to require a different type of response. So start to have that in the back of your mind as we go through this, just thinking about where you work and how you would respond to these emergencies. So Norfolk Southern, pretty common name in the railroad industry. And what Norfolk Southern has done a lot of research on train derailments, train incidents, train emergencies, because they want to be the gold standard when it comes to rail safety. And so they've really taken a hard look at even some of the mistakes that they've made to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And why they've partnered with RapidSOS is because we have the ability, and we're in so many ECCs already, where data is flowing on a daily basis. And Norfolk Southern and RapidSOS want to equip not only ECC personnel inside the center, but field responders out in the field, plus maybe state agencies, to give them the data that they need so they can make informed responses when something like this happens. So we've talked a lot about how many millions of devices and how many thousands of times that RapidSOS is used. But the important thing here is that RapidSOS is in 97% of the US, meaning that our coverage footprint covers 97% of the United States. The bigger number here is that 99% of Norfolk Southern's rail routes are covered by that RapidSOS footprint. And that's hugely important, especially as we go through this presentation. So you may or may not be aware that there are over 140,000 miles of rail routes in the United States. So that's massive. And just take a look at this map and zero in on Alabama. You can see that there are railroads that are crisscrossing your state in every direction. And unless you've been one of those unfortunate people that get stuck behind the mile-long train when you're on your way to work, very often we don't even pay attention to what rail routes are running through our jurisdiction. And that's sometimes where the first step can occur, to be aware as you're driving around in your state, as you're driving to work, you're driving to a friend's house, you're taking your kids to school, start paying attention to where those rail routes are. Now, $80 billion a year is operated by 7 Class 1 railroads, and that includes Norfolk Southern. So that means that when we are moving freight around, when we are providing inventory to all the retail stores and the grocery stores and everything that we purchase, those Amazon purchases, I know you've seen those trucks, but a lot of that comes from the railroad. It comes from those rail routes inside of the perimeter of the United States. What do you think the number one transport function is? And I kind of already gave that answer away. It's trucks. Trucks rate number one when they're moving almost 40% of the US freight throughout the country. And do we all have a very standard approach to traffic accidents? Absolutely. We handle them all the time. We know what those look like. We know who to send, how to notify. We've handled hundreds of them over the course of our career. But have we really ever handled a large scale train emergency? And that's what we hope to accomplish here in this short time that we have together. So the East Palestine derailment, if you remember this, occurred a couple years ago, and there's some key things that I want you to pay attention to on this slide. Now, this is not an opportunity, and by no means are we pointing a finger at any ECC saying, oh my gosh, they should have done X, Y, and Z. Everybody does the best they can with the information that they have. So in that gray box at the top of the screen, you can see what information was dispatched to the field responders at the onset of this event. So at almost 9 o'clock at night, the information was put out to the responders that there's a train on fire, and here's where it is. But what I now want you to take a look at is the timeline over on the left-hand side of the screen. So call went out at 8:57 p.m., but the first time someone noticed that something was wrong was at 8:12 p.m., so almost 45 minutes earlier. And what information did they have? Very limited. They saw smoke from a possible train incident from 20 miles away. 20 miles away, so that's not a whole lot of information. So they were very limited with what they could provide the responders. And that's where this partnership with RapidSOS and Norfolk Southern becomes so important. There's a couple other things I want you to pay attention to on this timeline. So February 5th. So we're talking now almost 2 full days, almost 48 hours until responders and the state agencies and the federal agencies were able to get on scene, get on site, and identify what was on that train. 2 days. And then once they identified what was on that train, it took another 24 hours to start to take some mitigation actions, to start to burn off some of those chemicals, because they knew if they didn't do that, there was going to be bigger issues. So think about that. That is a huge span of time where responders were on scene. People were actively battling this emergency, really not knowing what they were being exposed to. So as a result of this, we talk about after action reports. As a result of this, there was a Senate congressional testimony about hazardous materials, especially when it pertains to train derailments. And you can see here, this is Fire Chief Chip Comstock, who is talking about, hey, there are so many apps and so many data sources available now that can tell me when a car accident happens and if it's rolled over, how many seatbelts. If you are using SiriusXM Accident Crash Notification Plus, you know the valuable data that is delivered each and every time a SiriusXM vehicle is involved in a crash. But he said, we've got to have that same level of information available to us at the onset of an incident involving a train. So as a result of that, RapidSOS and Norfolk Southern have joined forces. So ECCs like yours and field responders like the ones you dispatched for have all of the information that they need to safely respond to a train event. And through this partnership, we're able to provide you training, field responders training, so they can quickly access and understand what type of cargo is on each one of these trains, knowing what those hazardous materials are, and efficiently notify mutual aid agencies. So think back, mutual aid, that is that multi-agency routing that Leah talked about. And we'll go into why that is so important and how critical it is to get that information out quickly. So again, on that left side of the screen, you see the small bit of information that was provided to the field responders because that was the information available at the time. I flip over to the right-hand side, and this gives you some insight into all the data that you can have available to you through RapidSOS because of our partnership with Norfolk Southern. So real quick breakdown, you've got analog 512 bytes of information versus digital over 1 million bytes of information, including the precise location information. So again, Think about your RapidSOS platform that you're using every single day. A call comes in, you get that map pin drop. You have that situational awareness of where that location is. And think about, in some of your jurisdictions, where the railroads run, that's hard to say 3 times, where the railroad runs, there may not be an address. It may be out in Farmer John's field someplace. So having that location map pin display for you, that is awesome. You've got all of the information about mapping tools. So you can change from satellite to the regular view. You can go 3D, 2D. So you can really get granular about what is around that particular site. Because think about, if it is somewhere out in a rural area, that doesn't mean that there's not a farm right next door. That doesn't mean that there's not a chemical plant that's just down the road. So having that available insight to you from the get-go is going to be incredibly important. If there are any surveillance cameras, if there are any connected cameras that are close to this event, think about Eagle Eye Network, then you may have the ability to see video inside RapidSOS of the event as it's unfolding. You also have information about the train itself, how many cars there are, what hazardous materials are being carried on that car, and you're going to have the ability to chat back and forth directly with the Emergency Operations Center, the NOC from Norfolk Southern, so you can open that line of communication without having to ever pick up a phone. So Leah talked a lot about alerts and the alerts delivery and how that comes in. And I just want to give you a high-level overview of how this works with train incidents. So train incident alerts, when that is detected, the Norfolk Southern Network Operations Center, the NOC, is going to automatically be notified. So very similar to SiriusXM, where all the sensors generate an alert and then it goes to the SiriusXM call center. Very similar here with the Norfolk Southern Operations Center, is that alert information is going to go directly to their operations center. They will be immediately notified, and then they will create an alert inside the RapidSOS portal. So you will see that call being generated immediately inside RapidSOS. However, because this is such a critical incident, you may also receive a secondary phone call. Because if you're like me, I wasn't always sitting at my computer with my hands on the keyboard waiting for the next call. You get up, you're getting something off the printer, you're having a conversation with somebody else, but the Norfolk Southern Operations Center wants to make sure that these types of events aren't missed. So you may get that secondary phone call. So JB ECCs, along with Norfolk Southern Rail Line, will be enabled with the digital alerts, which will mean that you inside your ECC can immediately engage with this alert. You can accept this alert, and it will open that chat feature between you and the Norfolk Southern team. How this looks is very different than maybe some of the other alerts that we've talked about, and RapidSOS and Norfolk Southern really want to call attention to and get your eyes on something like this. So those noticeability features are going to look a little bit different than maybe they do in some of your other alerts. So these are going to be yellow in color. The map pin is going to be yellow. You'll also get that banner at the top of your screen letting you know that a new alert has come in. And that is going to be immediate upon the receipt of these incoming alerts. So now you've got the alert, you are engaged with that call for service in your queue, you've opened it, or if you're using call taker mode, it's automatically open for you based on the workstation that you're sitting at. And now you've got that list of all the things that are happening in your jurisdiction. So inside that queue, the train emergency and the alerts queue is going to display the emergency type. So in this situation, it's a train derailment. That new train track icon is going to display in yellow to grab your attention. You've got the location of the event, the status, whether it's new, accepted, timed out. So maybe it's a brand new alert and you're working with it. Maybe it is an incoming new alert, but one of your partners has dealt with it. Or maybe, unfortunately, it's timed out, which in these situations, because you may be receiving that secondary phone call, hopefully are not happening often, but there is that possibility. then there's a timestamp. So you can start to record all of those things that are important, especially when you are looking at response times and how efficiently you're handling these things. So now you've opened that event pane and there's additional information. So all of that stuff that we just talked about, but here's where it gets really granular. Here's where we're taking that 2-day, 48-hour time frame to know what's on that train to it being instantaneous. Now you've got train information, including the train ID, the number of cars, the length of the train, the loaded rail cars, and the empty rail cars. So that's in and of itself huge information. But the really important thing to note here is that hazardous car information. It's going to be highlighted by a yellow banner, meaning that if there are hazardous materials that are being carried on that train, you can click on that banner and immediately be taken into that insight into what's on that particular rail. So the hazardous car information, it may include the rail car sequence. So maybe this is car 4, maybe this is car 44, maybe this is car 204. We've been stuck behind those trains. We know they can go on for a long time. So knowing where that car is and how far away it is from the beginning or the end of the train is going to help your responders formulate an accurate and response plan that is not going to put them in danger. The equipment ID, so it's very much like a license plate. It's going to be on the side of that rail car so they know which car that they're looking for. Chemical cargo information is going to be listed there. Here's some cool stuff. The emergency response guide reference number. So you may have one of those books in, the drawer of your workstation that you've never taken a look at. I'm giving you some homework. The next time you go back to your workstation, just go ahead and pull that book out and go, I never knew how important this book was. But we also recognize that, okay, now there's this big event and now I've got to find this book that I don't even really know exists and I've got to be able to search this. We got you. We're going to have the ability for you to navigate directly to the emergency response guide page by clicking on the plus sign that lets you know that there's additional information that lives behind that label. So the emergency response guide, or the ERG number, is listed on the data link as well as in the event pane. And this reference number provides information about potential hazards and public safety response specific to the type of cargo being transported. So that not only tells you what this chemical or this potential hazardous material is, it also gives you insight into how you should message out this information to your public. Is this a shelter in place? Or is this a, hey, we need to evacuate and you need to go this way? So that information is available to you as well. So we've talked about alerts a couple times during this presentation. We've talked about it with Leah previously. So I think you've got a pretty clear idea about what are alerts and how are alerts delivered in the ECC. Just know that if at any time during these presentations, or now you're back at your workstation, you're thinking, gosh, what was it that they said? Go into the training center and we have a specific course just for alerts so you can build that foundation. We also have a course, and I'll point you to it in a minute, of how you can get to the Norfolk Southern information. So exciting stuff that's happening inside the ECC, but gosh, Leslie, I need to get this out to my field responders because I don't want to have to convey all of these methyl ethyl death names that, have 140 characters and only 2 of them are vowels. I can't transmit that over the radio. So inside RapidSOS, you can immediately notify your field responders by clicking on the share button. And sharing that information will either go to an email that they've already identified as being approved to receive that information, or a cell phone number, a cell device. Also, again, something that they have opted in to receive that information. So instead of having to get on the radio and trying to convey this information, you can quickly and easily do it from directly inside the RapidSOS event pane. You can also get receipt information, meaning that your sharing of all of the data that you've received as a result of this incident has been successfully delivered to the recipient. So that just eases our mind, because in an event like this, you're going to be working so quickly, you're going to be sharing that information and off to the next thing. And having that success receipt is going to give you some peace of mind and some comfort knowing that the information is now in the hands of the people that need it. Going into multi-agency routing, again, Leah went in depth into how this looks, but this is another opportunity for you as an ECC in the middle of a huge incident, potentially, to share this information very quickly with not only your neighboring agencies, but maybe you've got a state or federal office that is going to be responding to these types of emergencies. And you can do that simply through your multi-agency routing process that Leah talked about previously. So all of this stuff that we've talked about and everything that we've covered today, thank you very much for being a part of it. But if there are things that you want to dive into a little bit more deeply, visit the training center, go to the Norfolk Southern training course, and inside that course, you'll be presented with a number of different lessons that will tell you not only what we talked about today, but give you some additional insight and maybe some opportunities to have a checklist. Talk to your field responders, find out when they are responding to this event, what information do they want to have when they are responding to something that really is a high risk, low frequency event that doesn't happen often. This is a great opportunity for you to start that conversation. So I want to thank you for not only paying attention through this entire presentation, but all of those things that we've talked about over the course of this hour, hour and a half. We so appreciate and are fabulously excited, if that's a word, for you to be a part of the RapidSOS family. So on behalf of Leah and myself, the entire public safety training team, everyone who is associated with RapidSOS, we thank you for being a part of this presentation. Please, if there are any questions that come up, if you want to reach out, not even related to what we talked about today, but you just want to learn more about RapidSOS, please feel free to reach out to us at training@rapidsos.com. Have a fantastic shift and also stay safe. Thanks.
Alrighty, folks, Leslie summed it up super nicely. That is what we have for you guys today.
Emma, we are so excited to spend.
So sorry, we're starting over again. But thank you guys for joining us today. If you have any questions, training@rapidsos.com. And I will be following up with some more information that we discussed today. If anybody has any questions, come off mute and please feel free to share with me.
Well, everybody's quite quiet, which, as I said, that's not unusual for us. We welcome, thank you for joining us, Leah. And as a whole lot of information, we will post this later. I'll have the slides available. And Leah, if you could share the link to the training, that'd be great. I'll add it to the page where this is going to be posted.
Definitely, Michelle. I'll send you our training center link, but best thing folks can do is just pop into the training center, hit training, and then you guys are on your way. But I will definitely remind you of this video arcade link if anybody wants it as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Moving on just real quick, our typical deadlines and reminders. One thing I did want to note that if you've got legacy reimbursement you need to get to us or PST certification reimbursement requests you need to get to us, today is the 10th. So if you want them paid out by the end of this month, you need to get them into us today. Let's see. Like I said, moving on pretty quick. I think we covered questions. All right, again, how to contact us. And I'll have contact information for RapidSOS when I get this posted on the page, so you can get in touch with them if you need to. And like I said, the links to the video, the training center, all of that stuff. Did not realize that was the end. Okay, we appreciate you joining us. If you've got any questions for us or for Rapid, you'll be able to get in touch with us. Right now, I'm not sure our next plan talk about it Tuesday. I actually, it's board meeting month. I'm not sure we'll have another talk about it Tuesday this month. That may be the week of our board meeting, maybe the 4th Tuesday. I haven't really looked at the calendar. If y'all have anything y'all need from us, you know how to get in touch with us. Have a safe week. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.